Hi there, and welcome to my vegan vlog. Today I'm gonna make a grilled sandwich, but I'm not gonna talk about the food, how to make it, because obviously this is very simple. Anyone knows how to make a grilled sandwich. But instead, I'm gonna talk about something else. I'm gonna talk a little bit about my own experience of getting over living in the past. Yo, douche! Are you getting on a laptop? Okay, well, Yoda, my kitty cat, wants to direct this, I guess. So I'm gonna let him do it. Anyway, Yoda, I'm grilling the bread right now. So, and I'm gonna make all the veggies. In the meantime, I want to talk about something else: how to get over past experiences, painful past experiences, and how to be able to live in the present moment. Because being vegan is great. It's good for your body. It's good for your mind because you are consciously choosing the food into your body, and therefore somehow, because body and mind is connected, somehow it helps you to also live in a more conscious way, which is wonderful. But it doesn't mean that being vegan makes you right away enlightened, happy, and all that, because if it did, we'd have a bunch of people being very happy who just eat vegan food, right? So I want to talk about the mental aspect today, and that's how to get over past. Well, to tell you something about myself, I grew up in Poland, which was communist then. I'm 36 years old today. When I was 15, my parents lost the house. So my siblings, my younger siblings, Yodushka, you're moving the laptop again. Okay, I guess Yoda is directing this, so I'm gonna let him. My kitty cat is directing all this, so I'm gonna let him do that. Since he wants to help, why not? So when I was 15, my parents lost the house, and my younger siblings and I, we ended up in an orphanage. So imagine growing up in a communist country in an orphanage. Not fun. No. So what happened when I was 17, I went in front of the judge and I emancipated myself. So I was free. 17 years old and free. Yodushka, do not press any of the keys. Come here, come here. Come here, to sleep. Come, mama, here. Right here, right here. Okay, thank you. So I was 17 years old and free. And what happened? At the age of 18, I left the country. I went to Italy. I engaged in modeling. I traveled a little bit of the world. And I ran away from all my painful experiences throughout my adult life. Right now I live in Hawaii. And I literally, from Poland to Italy to different countries in Europe, finally United States, all over United States, New York, Los Angeles, finally ended up in Hawaii. I ran away from myself, from the pain that I was harboring inside of me for all these years, from the childhood. I thought if I go to new places, I will be happy. I will meet new people, they're gonna respect me, they're gonna treat me right, they're gonna love me, and I'll be happy. And you would think, well, you're in Hawaii, this is a paradise, so I'll literally live in a paradise, and I'll for sure be happy. Well, needless to say, throughout all this running away from myself and from the pain within me, I was very suicidal to the point where I was hospitalized several times, to the point where I almost didn't make it. So after all these years, tired of everything, I finally decided to look within myself, to look deep inside and resolve these issues that I could not outrun, no matter how hard I tried. And when I went inside, it was just painful, dark, horrifying, something that I did not want to face. So I resisted this for a long time. That's why all this was taking over a period of years, because I was resisting all that. Why I was even making this decision to look inside me, it was still awfully difficult. There was this resistance. But the more time was passing, the more I realized there was no other way for me. So when I started looking inside, I I realized that there was one way for me and only one way, one key that would unlock the door that was basically imprisoning me in this past because I was repeating the same mistake, self-destructive. I harbored anger, hatreds, and all these negative emotions, right? And so the one ticket to this one-way ticket out of this horrifying past into the present and therefore into the future turned out to be forgiveness. Well, yeah, sure, it seems easy. All you have to do is forgive all anybody who hurt you in the past, and then you'll be free. Well, it's a very hard thing to do. Very, very hard thing to do is to forgive and to truly forgive. But that's turned out to be the only way, at least for me, to free myself. I'm still in the process of it because there's so much happening, and I'm sure there are people out there that might have been mistreated as a child. I was basically raped when I was 15. That was my first time, and then I was raped by somebody who I had crushed on. Then when I was 20, no, 18, I was raped by a total stranger. I was just praying that I would be alive while running away from the orphanage, etc. Anyway, there is a lot of pain inside that needs to be forgiven. And that anger resulted that I would do things in relationships with people that would be very self-destructive, overreacting to certain small things. Somebody would do something and then you just feel like you're going to explode. You hate them. You just want to freaking hit them and say awful things to hurt them, etc., because of that anger inside. So a few years ago, when I decided this experiment for the first time, I was in an abusive relationship, emotionally at least, verbally. And because of the way I grew up, my father had an alcohol problem. So before even we went to the orphanage, we, he was abusive physically and emotionally and mentally. So it was really hard when I was 30 something years old and I end up in similar environment that I was when I was little. And I tried to resist it. I tried to leave the guy. I did leave him a couple of times. And I tried to do a bunch of things. And then I ended up going always back there. And one day I said to myself, instead of doing all these things, instead of changing the world outside of me, the things that we see, physical world, I'm going to do it from within me. I'm going to change it from within me. And at that time, I decided not to do anything about the external world, not to try to change it, not to try to do manipulate it, nothing. Just let it be and observe it the way it was. And every time the person I was with would be emotionally, physically, well, physically, I was actually getting more physical than he was, but emotionally or mentally abusive, I'd close my eyes and I would remember that little girl, me, a few years old or a teenager, going through the same thing in my home and being powerless about it, not being able to do anything about it, right? And I remember, and what I did, then I remembered all these emotions. I let it feel them. I didn't minimize them. I didn't tell myself, oh, you know what, it wasn't that bad. Oh, you know what, this person, isn't that horrible or doing these things doesn't hurt as much. No, I actually let it feel the pain, the sadness of it. And when I started feeling the sadness, it's when I realized that I made a first step towards the forgiveness. And finally, in my mind, I would try to really, I call it, throw a compassion at that person, at the person who was reminding me of my father and of my father himself. I tried to understand him, saying, you know what, the way he grew up, he didn't know any better. There was things that they were not he had no control over. Suffering from alcoholism in these days, that's and in that country, it's not like we had internet. We could Google Dr. Phil, etc., and call the show and have them help send us psychiatrists or psychologists and therapists and help us. There was no such a thing. People were embarrassed, ashamed of such problem. These things were hidden. So there was no real solution for it. And it had to be the way it was. And with this understanding, every moment the person I was with was putting me through that, I was in my mind, I would simply I would close my eyes and I would throw that understanding at the situation, at that person, at my father, and I would practically force myself to forgive. And I noticed immediately that same day when I did that, I started to having dreams. And I used to have the same recurring dreams which I used to fight with my father physically. I tried to kill him always. And that same day when I made this decision of going, of going internally and throwing that compassion at my father and the person who was maybe hurting me at the present moment, I started to have the dream in me and my father. But in this time, I would actually have a conversation with my dad. And every single day when I was doing that, things would improve in that. The dream would come back every night. And things were improving in every single dream. Like the next day, I would have a dream when I would not only talk to my father and have a conversation with him in my dream, but he would actually offer me a cigarette, or he would give me a little bit of money for food, or something. Until finally, this lasted for about a month and a half, and dreams were guiding me through that, knowing that I was doing the right thing, and eventually the relationship ended, and I was free from that part of my past, free from that abuse, free from all that. So when that happened, I decided to repeat the same thing with other things that were hurting me about being always hungry, why I always had to re-experience that in my adult life, or being angry at somebody make me feel this way or that way. There were so many issues. I mean, so many issues. And I would do the same thing. I would do if I felt something, instead of, let's say I'd have a fight with my husband, and he'd make me feel this or that, or disrespected, or belittled, or whatever it was. He probably wasn't his intention, but because I was living in the past and those emotions were so fresh, and I was harboring so much anger and resentment and hatred toward it, that I was reliving it through that. So instead of reacting, this time what I did, instead of reacting with anger like I normally would, I would go inside me, close my eyes, and watch the emotions. So again, first thing I would notice was the sadness. Every time I embraced the negative, painful emotion that surfaced from the past, that I would relive over and over again in the present, I would every time I did that, I would start feeling, well, number one thing, I would always feel resistance. There was always resistance to change. So every time I even decided that I'm not gonna, for example, get upset, but instead I'm gonna go inside me and heal that wound within me by compassion, understanding, and loving, and acceptance, then there would be that resistance, like, I don't want to do that. No, it's not fair. My husband has to change, not me. Or this person has to change, not me. They have to stop making me miserable, and they have to make me happy like they promised. Or they have to make me feel loved and wanted like it should be, etc., etc. It's not like my husband really wasn't doing anything to make me feel unloved. But because of this traumatic experiences from the childhood, I would relive him maybe being a few minutes late. That would, to me, mean that somebody doesn't love me enough to want to be with me right away, and they prefer talking to someone for a few more minutes and make me wait, and that means they don't love me, etc., etc., etc. Those negative emotions. So this every time this something like this would happen, I would feel like a volcano ready to erupt with anger, with pain. I don't want to feel this way. I just want to take the car and drive away and not even be here. And I want to make him suffer for making me wait. And I want him to understand how horrible that feels. And I want him to wonder where maybe I am. So instead of doing all that, I would sit down and not do anything. I would stay and I would go inside with my eyes and let experience this negative emotion. I would talk to myself, say, you know what? This is just temporary. I am healing this part of me. I am healing the past. I am letting go of it right now by understanding that in the past it was really difficult for my parents to make to assure that maybe I was feeling loved. They did everything they could. They did beyond that. And it was out of their control. They had no control over any of that. So I throw that compassion and understanding, forgiveness and acceptance all at this. And I noticed that after resistance, there comes sadness. You start feeling so sad, which is great because when I feel sad, I know you feel almost peaceful. It's like you're accepting it and you're like, oh, okay. You like almost feel relieved. And after a while, you just sit there and watch that sadness and it goes away. And you don't even have to do anything to try change things outside. And things outside kind of automatically almost start changing for you. And so I've been doing this practice for a while now. And some things I have totally, completely successfully let go of. And some issues I still have to work on. I still have a lot of unresolved anger when it comes to sex. I wrong touch or at the wrong moment, and it made me feel like I am just objectified. Makes me feel like I am just being used. Makes me feel like I am diminished. And you know, and even though I know that is not the case, even though I am in a loving relationship with my husband, who've proven me over and over again that he loves me for who I am, because of that trauma in my childhood, I still am able to relive that, and I still am able to feel that anger about somebody touching me inappropriately, etc. So uh, it's it takes time, but that is I've noticed something that works for me more than changing things outside. It takes so much energy to change things outside of you, to try to tell the person. And if you yell at them or tell them this or that, yeah, for the same maybe day it works. But then did you notice they keep repeating the same thing over and over again that makes you feel that same way? Yeah, because yelling doesn't work. Trying to change it outside of you doesn't work. Inside of you, letting go of that anger, of that pain, resentment, hatred is the way of letting go of your past. That's the only way I really know that works because it worked for me and keeps working for me. So, there's my sandwich. Okay, still making it. So, if you're like me, live in the past or have been living in the past, and you might have been told by other people, just get over it. I know it's been hard, but just get over it, and you're here now. Sure, sure, sure. That's easy to say. You just have some really hard work to do, but it's worth it when you do it because you can get over it. The other thing that helps with all this forgiveness and acceptance is every day make yourself a list of things you're grateful for, and then repeat that to yourself. It will put you in a better mood, and it helps even with the forgiveness, because you start training your mind. You're not only healing that wound, which is painful process to heal it. So expect it to be that way. Don't expect it to be easy and suddenly you're like, you. Don't expect it to be that way. It is gonna be a painful process. It takes a little bit of time, but it's gonna be so worth it, because you'll be free from your past, from your pain. And and then while you're doing the I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that today, you're training your mind. You're training your mind to focus on positive things. Especially if you had a difficult childhood, or something happened that was so painful that it's just your emotionally got stuck in that period of time, it's very possible that your mind grows on a negative all the time. And it's nothing to embarrass of, nothing to be embarrassed of, nothing to be blaming yourself for anything. There is no need to blame anyone or anything for anything. Blame doesn't do anything good. You're just retraining yourself right now. Teach yourself to think more positive, to be grateful. Focus on things you're grateful for. Like I am right now so grateful for this wonderful sandwich I'm making. And I'm grateful that I live in this time where information travels so fast. We can have a camera, we can have internet, and we can share all our information so fast and so nice and easy, right? That's something to be grateful for, because when I was growing up, there was no such a thing. I know it sounds old, but again, I'm 36 years old, so we didn't have internet, we didn't have all these cool things that we have today when I was a teenager. So we have lots of things to be grateful for. And we have a nice sandwich to be grateful for. So vegan thing, it does help, because I do believe in karma as well. And I know when you're vegan, you're not eating this pain that we cause. And even if we don't kill the animals ourselves, we are going to the store and we tell him, I'm gonna buy this meat. Here's the money. So we are like basically hiring someone to kill those animals. And how can we expect to be happy? How can we expect to create happiness in our life when we are paying for someone, at least, to create misery, horror, pain in that poor animal's life? There's just no way. Since we are all one, because we are, what we do to the other person, and as well to these animals, because we're not superior to them, that's what we do to ourselves. So we're gonna be experiencing by default all that misery if we are creating that misery to these animals. So definitely staying vegan helps, but also if you had some really painful experiences as a child, there is some healing to be done, that needs to be done as well. So your mind and your body and your spirit can be all, I don't know, united or connected again, reconnected, and you can be happy and you can live a happy life. And so my sandwich is almost ready, and I'm going to take a nice picture here so I can post it on my Facebook page. Ooh, voila! Okie dokie. That looks good. Yummy, yummy. Come on, take a picture. Okay. All right. Oh yeah, and I forgot the sprouts. Okay, we can put some sprouts in here. They're good and healthy too. Okie dokie. this one more time on the grill. Have it just grilled a little bit more. I think it's ready. I'm hungry. It's really 1:30 here in Hawaii, and all I had this morning was coffee, a cup of coffee. That's it. So I'm really, really hungry. Then I went to the store, get some ingredients for this, pet my kitties, walk my dog. Let me try this. Yum. This is really good. Very nice. Yeah, do spring. You want that? Fine. A little bit, not too much. Here, you skip. Okay. Good. Seriously, very good. Alright then. This is 26 minutes already. So I need to put this on YouTube. Alright then. Talk to you later.